Hey guys, welcome back to Double Travel channel. Please subscribe, like, also please subscribe to our Instagram pages that you can currently see on the screen. And this episode is dedicated to Dubai, United Arab Emirates, where we've lived for 7 months.
Before we tell you the story how we moved there,
All the
I
juicy
want to
details.
tell you one thing. Lena and I, in February 2022,
Yeah,
went there to celebrate our birthday.
yes. It was second
And-
time that we went to Dubai.
And Lena said, you know what, actually, we've lived in the US, in Europe, in several countries. That would be in China, and it would be very, very interesting to live also in Middle
I
East.
said
now.
I would have lived here.
I
And
would-
Yulia
I
said,
would- I would
"Just
live
shut
there."
up.
And I said, no,
Shut
no, no, no,
up.
please don't say it out loud because nightmare. I really don't want it to happen. And I'll explain why.
I was like, come on, I only said it. It doesn't really mean anything.
And guys, in 2 months, we had to move there. So people either love it or hate it. And
We hate it.
We hate it. And I didn't like Dubai and UAE in general, even before we lived there. And I think it's also a very different experience. It's the same as we said about Italy.
Completely different.
When you're a tourist and when you live in the country, you see it in a different way. I think people who love Dubai, people who go there to avoid paying taxes, so expats, of course they will love it. Second,
People
is
who
people
love
who love
luxury.
bling bling.
Luxury, 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 luxury.
Everything luxury. And to be honest, both, it's not us. So
Third, if you don't care about nature,
like,
you can
if you
stay,
don't walk,
if you don't walk, if you love staying indoors 24/7 and you don't care about walking, nature. For us, we're obsessed with walking. Fun fact about us, we can walk every other day for 30,000 steps, and this is true story. So for us, it's a nightmare to live in a country where you can't walk. We lived in Dubai in the worst months possible. So we lived there from April for 7 months.
Till
So when we went
October.
there, and the level of heat was 50 plus. So it's like
also
sauna
two
24/7.
2 sandstorms.
2 sandstorms. Oh, by the way, check out on the screen pictures of the sandstorm because it's impressive. It is like apocalypse. You wake up, you can't see anything through the window,
Yes.
and you can't breathe. If you're asthmatic, you can even die.
And to explain better in terms of why you can't walk and why, if you love nature, you love walking, you can't live there. So we lived like 15 minutes walk from my work, and in summer months,
From the area
not
called
only-
Al Barari.
So I had to leave for work 6:45 a.m. because by 7 a.m. it was bearable, and after 7 a.m. it was impossible to be outside. The way you feel is like you're a fish out of water, like your veins
It's
pop
unbearable.
up, like
It's unbearable.
it seems like your eyes and everything. It was a nightmare. I think this land is not made
For living.
people when they want to go for a walk, they drive to a mall and they walk in the malls. That's why malls are huge. In the malls, you always have to cover up, like you have sweater because it's freezing.
It's freezing cold because air conditioning works like crazy.
So it's normal for people to lose their voice.
I lost my voice because it's very difficult because the change of the temperature is extremely drastic. Outside it's 50 plus. Inside it is around I don't
Maximum
know,
20 because you wear a sweater.
20 is already a lot. Like you wear a sweater. So it's like more than 30 degrees change. I lost my voice. I couldn't talk, and a lot of people have problems with this. Also, very interesting thing that I just found out recently that it's not enough oxygen in the air in Dubai.
Ah.
So if people are rich,
Because it's-
they go to the special treatments where they breathe oxygen. They have masks because it's so sad. You live in a country where you do not receive enough of oxygen. And this is damaging your brain if you don't
By the
receive
way-
enough oxygen.
One of the very first videos that we filmed on this channel was actually from Dubai. It's a very interesting video about Al Barari, which is one of the richest districts
Yeah,
in Dubai.
yeah, check
and
it out.
it's actually closed up territory. You can't go there unless you live there. I used to work there, so we very often went there for a walk. That's why we filmed it, and it's very, very interesting. Please go ahead and watch it.
As we mentioned, we don't like Dubai. One of the reasons is the modern slavery. This is a huge topic
That people try not to think
almost
about
everyone-
and not to talk about it.
almost everyone avoids. It is impossible, in my opinion, if you're an empathetic person, not to notice it. Because, for example, where we lived, right in front of our building was a new building that was being built, and workers usually from Sri Lanka, from Pakistan, from Bangladesh, they work there in the heat, more 50 degrees heat.
Without
Imagine working
water,
in the heat.
bathroom, anything. And the
Without
funniest thing,
water,
the funniest
without
thing
water.
that according to law, they are not supposed to do that. It's not permitted. But
But
it's completely normal thing. They do it all the time. So
And-
all the laws that you hear about Dubai, about people saying that it's super safe place, no one steals anything, and this is great. It's because all the news are
or bad
cleaned
news
up,
are being
cleaned
raised.
up.
Yeah.
There is, if there is a fire or something happens, you will never find it in the news. Even if it pops up for like 5 minutes, in 5 minutes, everything is going to be perfect, and you will hear about new Lamborghini or something like that.
Yeah. So what it happens is that these people from, let's say, Bangladesh, they come. These special agencies, they take their passport. These people owe a lot of money to these agencies, and they work in these conditions. And people know it's a fact that these people can die working.
Oh, a lot of
on
people
this
die.
construction.
A lot of people die.
And
A lot of
as the,
suicides
as
as
the
well.
slogan of Saudi Arabia is how does it say?
Work today, pay in next life, something like that.
Yeah. It means that you're working in this life, but honestly, you won't survive. So,
Yeah.
and I think it's so cruel. These countries are so cruel.
We need to tell about this taxi driver that told us his story.
Yeah, oh my God.
So he works
Oh my God.
like 16 hours a day, and then he sleeps in the car because he doesn't have where to live, and he needs to work a lot in order to pay the debt first to the agency that brought him to UAE, and then also to send money to his family. So it's insane.
And we also know people that are from Sri Lanka, and they told us that it's also normal for locals to beat those people. That's why they try to work not for local people,
But for foreigners,
because they all know that foreigners at least don't beat them.
for like you've done something wrong or you haven't done something wrong, it's normal for them to beat up their help.
And I remember that I was shocked when I was walking in the street, and the local woman, the way she was talking to the guy, and he was probably from Bangladesh. I've never heard in Europe anyone talk like this. She was just talking with him like trash. I had to intervene. I just asked her, is something wrong? Because it's so cruel. The way they treat those people is extremely cruel.
By the way, maybe I shouldn't say something like this, but to finish this episode, I wanted to ask a question. I came across a very interesting YouTube video that I haven't watched, but it made me think. We discuss this very, very often. Why Arabic countries don't accept refugees from Palestine?
Oh,
I want to ask this because Western world is condemned all the time for not being acceptable and welcoming to refugees from this part of the world, but no one talks about UAE, Saudi Arabia, and all
nobody.
other countries that are
Because they
super
can't.
rich.
Because
and
they can't talk. Because they already live in those countries.
What if they don't
say
live?
something?
No. What if they don't live and they live abroad, but for some reason no one talks about this?
Because
Why are
they
they
don't
not?
care? That's why they don't talk about this. If you live in this country, you can't talk about this because obviously you can't say anything bad about
So you're
those
saying that
countries.
there is absolutely no one who cares about this topic and doesn't
No,
live in
there are. I know like one or two
So-
bloggers that talk about.
I want to
Palestine.
ask you guys, maybe you can explain to me why these very rich countries that have plenty of space are not accepting refugees from Palestine.
or Syria. We are from Ukraine, so we are also refugees, and we are very, very thankful to all of the countries that actually accept us and accepted us. But I do remember that when the war started, Dubai,
Implemented visa system.
yeah. So they just didn't want to have this burden. So I do understand why they wouldn't accept refugees because they don't want to deal with this.
Okay, I don't, because one thing is not to accept someone from Western world that they don't care about. Like UAE and Ukraine have zero connections. But another thing is to support people of the same religion, who are your neighbors. Very curious to hear your opinion. Please let us know.
Yeah, thank you so much for watching, and let us know if you want us to tell more things about Dubai, because there are like 1,000 other things that we are happy to tell you.
Yes.
Thank you so much for watching. Bye.